Hey everyone! Taking a look at our third and final method for solving a system, and this is by elimination. This is probably my favorite because it's actually pretty easy. This is another one that you, you can use on any system. Some are easier than others, and we'll actually talk about that later on, like how do you choose which method to use. But let me kind of walk you through the steps, and you can see how easy it can be. So the first thing that you need to do when you're going to solve by elimination is that you want to make sure that both of your equations are written in the same order. Let me zoom in right here. And by the same order, it doesn't matter what the order is, but they need to be in the same order. So if you look at the very first one, see how it has an x term, a y term, equals some number. So I just need to make sure that my second equation is in that same order. X term, y term equals some number. So in this case, and throughout this whole worksheet, they will all be in the same order. If they're not, though, you just need to convert them so that they match. All right, so that is an important first step. You're not going to see it on this worksheet because I left them all in the same order just to make things a little bit easier for you, but that is something that you want to keep in mind. Okay, so let's go ahead and erase these. All right, your next step is to look for what I call a pair of opposites. So that's looking for either the x or the y terms, and you're going to look in both equations, and you want them to be opposites of each other. So lucky for us, we actually already have that. See how I have a positive 3x here and a negative 3x there? That's exactly what I want. I want a pair of opposites, and it could be the x's or the y's. See, my y's are not a pair of opposites right now. I have a negative 9y and a positive 6y. So if it was a negative 9y and a positive 9y, okay, that would work. But it doesn't matter. I only need one of them to be opposites. And in this case, they are already. Okay, so today we're kind of going to keep things a little bit easier. And I believe that all of your equations today will already have a pair of opposites. Tomorrow, we're going to look at, well, what happens when you don't have a pair of opposites? And how do you work with that? Okay, so once you get a pair of opposites, which again we'll go through in more detail tomorrow how to do that, but that step is another one that's going to be already done for you here. Once you realize that you have a pair of opposites, this is literally all you're going to do. You're going to add the two equations together. So I'm going to add 3x plus negative 3x. Isn't that just 0? They just cancel each other out. And when it's 0, I don't even need to write it down below. You can, but I wouldn't even bother. So now let's add the y's. I have a negative 9y and a positive 6y. If I add those together, negative 9 plus 6 leaves me with a negative 3y. You're just going to bring down the equal sign, and now I'm going to add the right-hand side. Negative 18 plus 6 gets me a negative 12. Seems pretty good so far, right? And now look at the equation that you have left. It only has a y in it, so I can solve for that y. So I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 3, and then get y is equal to 4. Awesome. So you know from solving other systems that we're not done yet, because the solution to a system is always an ordered pair, right? An x comma y. Well, I know what the y is going to be. It's going to be 4. I just need to go back now and figure out what that x is going to be. So how do we do that? Well, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go back to your original equations, and you're going to just pick one. It doesn't even matter which one. I usually try and pick the one that has the smaller numbers just to make my life easier. So in this case, I'm going to pick this one right here because the numbers are smaller, but you could have picked the top one. Does not matter. So I'm just going to rewrite this down below. Oops. I meant to hit the pin of the box. Okay. And I'm just going to plug in the y value that I got, a 4. So let's plug this in. I'm going to do negative 3x plus 6 times, and now I know that y is 4 equals 6. So now I can just solve for x. So 6 times 4 is 24, minus that 24 over, 6 minus 24 is a negative 18. Divide both sides by a negative 3. Looks like x is going to end up being a positive 6. So then I can go ahead and put it right up here in my answer. 6 comma 4. And just like with all of the other systems we've done, you can check that. Take 6 and 4 and plug it into both equations, and it should work out perfectly. Okay, so let's go ahead and try the next one. I did figure out how to erase the whole thing at once. Look at that. I'm learning. Okay, so let's try this one, number 2. So again, I'm going to look for a pair of, first make sure that they're both in the same order, but I already told you this whole worksheet they will be. They are x, y equals some number, x, y equals some number. Yep, that's good. And then I'm looking for a pair of opposites. And this time, again, I have it in the x's. It won't always be the x's, but this time it is. So when I add these two together, negative 6x plus 6x is just gone, right? They just cancel each other out. Now I'm going to do negative y plus negative 8y. So remember, there's really an invisible 1 there that we never write. So negative 1 and negative 8 add together to get me negative 9y. And then on the right-hand side, negative 20 plus 2 is a negative 18. So now I can divide both sides by a negative 9, and it looks like this time y is going to be 2. Awesome. So again, I have half my answer. I just need to get the x coordinate. So what do? I'm going to go back to the original. Oops. Either original you like. I'll just pick, oh, I don't know. I'll pick the top one. Negative 6x minus 2. Oh, I forgot the y up here. Minus 2 equals negative 20. Okay, and now we're just going to solve. Add the 2. Negative 6x equals negative 18. Divide both sides by that negative 6. And x is going to be a positive 3. So I have my answer, 3 comma 2. Okay. Let's try number 3. Oh, for goodness sakes. Oh! I will never get used to this, I swear. Okay, 3. Here we go. All right. Yep, everything's in the same order. I do already have a pair of opposites. It's with those x's, right? A negative x, oh, I'm sorry, positive x and a negative x. Already a pair of opposites. When I add them together, they just cancel each other out. Negative 10y plus 2y will leave me with a negative 8y. 24 plus 0 is just 24. Divide by that negative 8. This time y is a negative 3. Go back to an original. I'll take the one on the bottom. Negative x plus 2 times y is now negative 3 equals 0. So let's see how this one plays out. Negative x, and that's going to be a negative 6 equals 0. Add the 6 to the other side. So now I get negative x equals 6. Remember, I want positive x though, so I'm going to have to divide both sides by a negative 1. So I get positive x equals negative 6. And there's both my values, negative 6 and negative 3. Great. And last one that we're going to do together, if I could, there we go. Okay, this time you will see they are already written in the same order, x, y equals some number, x, y equals some number. But this time, it's the y's that cancel, not the x's. And that's fine. It could be either variable. It does not matter. It's not always going to be the x. It's not always going to be the y. So this time, it's the y's. So I'm still just going to go ahead and add the two equations. 10x and plus a negative 5x is just going to leave me with a positive 5x. The y's cancel each other out. Negative 29 plus 4 is a negative 25. So now I just solve for x this time. Divide both sides by 5, and x is going to be a negative 5. Okay, so now I have x. I'm going to go back and go ahead and solve for y. So I'll take the second original equation because the numbers are a little bit smaller. Negative 5 times, now I know what x is. X was a negative 5, so put another negative 5 in there. minus 7y equals 4. Negative 5 times negative 5 gets me that positive 25. We'll minus 25 from both sides. 4 minus 25 is going to be a negative 21. Divide both sides by a negative 7. And looks like y is going to be a positive 3. So x is negative 5 and y is a positive 3. And that's all there is to it, guys. So I think you'll like elimination. It can be a lot of fun. Tomorrow, like I said, we'll take a look at when you don't automatically have a pair of opposites, and we'll go from there. Okay? For now, try the rest of this worksheet. Let me know if you have any problems.